If you want to continue to follow our adventure, click subscribe. So you don't miss anything, click the bell notification. So yesterday I learned something, a very valuable lesson that I wanted to share with you. And before I get into this, I recognize that a lot of people are going to say I should have, would have, done, all these things. But the reality is, dangerous things happen, and people have to learn how to deal with these situations when they happen, no matter what the situation is. This is just a particular instance of a serious situation, a toxic situation, possibly even a deadly situation that can happen when you're RV living. And at the end of this video, I'm going to give you some more examples, not of only my situation, but of others that had the same exact problem. I was sitting in my camper and doing what I always do. It's cold, so I don't go outside a lot. I don't have the doors open, windows open or anything. I'm at Mom's house. And then when at about 4 o'clock, I go into Mom's house. We sit around and have dinner. Been doing this for about 3 or 4 weeks now. And the whole time, I've had my battery charger on. Now, there's no reason to have it on. I just have it on, and what it does is every now and then, it kicks on, charges it up for 3 or 4 minutes, kicks off. It just senses that the battery could use a little trickling. I decided the other day that I was going to just disconnect from Mom's house overnight and run off the battery. I wanted to make sure that the battery wasn't going bad or anything. Next morning, got up, switched it all back over to Mom's electric, and charged the battery back up. The battery, when charging, can produce sulfur gas. But it smells like rotten eggs, is what it smells like. Very noticeable, can't miss it. As soon as you smell it, you should know what it is. If you don't know what it smells like before you get in the camper, then if you smell a terrible, terrible smell in your camper, recognize first thing you should know is it's the battery. I got out of the camper about 11 o'clock, recorded a video, came back in, started editing the video, had no problem. At 4 o'clock, I got out of the camper and I went into Mom's house. And I smelled this horrible smell. And I didn't understand at first what was going on. I smelled battery acid smell, sulfuric, rotten egg smell. I thought, why does Mom's house smell like this? Maybe she was cooking something that I had never smelled before and it smelled similar. I didn't understand what it was. So I ignored it for a few minutes. I went into Mom's dining room and grabbed a cookie. She had some Christmas cookies. And I held that cookie up to my nose and I smelled that rotten smell. At that point, I knew that it wasn't Mom's house. There was something wrong with me. And so I smelled my hand, and sure enough, it was on my hand. I smelled my clothes, it was on my clothes. I went in, rinsed off my hand, washed my hands, and I walked back out to the camper, and it just, the camper was just flooded with that smell. What had happened was, I guess the charger kicked on, throughout the day, and off gas some of that sulfuric acid. But I guess with me having sat in there the whole time that it started off gassing, my nose just kind of adapted to the smell before I even realized there was a smell. And as soon as I walked out in the fresh air, my nose picked up on it real quick. I didn't feel bad. I had a little bit of itching under my eye, but nothing serious. So my guess is it just kind of started up right before I went into Mom's house. So I disconnected the battery charger and everything's fine. Then I went back into Mom's house, we ate supper, came back out of the camper, the smell was completely gone, everything was safe. This is real troubling to me that I didn't smell it. Well, normally when I'm out here boondocking, I charge the batteries for 2 or 3 hours in the morning, charge the batteries 2 or 3 hours in the afternoon, and the whole time I got the fan running right next to it while it's charging, because I know it can off gas. There are people who are coming out here every day to live this lifestyle who don't know the dangers. And so what I'm trying to do is when I am exposed to a danger, I try to share it. The reality is, it doesn't matter what you do, it happens. And here's some examples. Watched a video, I don't know, several months back, of a high-class camper. He's him and his wife, You know, they got a fifth wheel. They went out and did this boondocking challenge so they can make a YouTube video. And for days, they were complaining in the video how they felt like their Blackwater tank was causing a smell, and they just couldn't stand the smell. It was terrible. I guess they brought somebody in, or they learned something from somebody on YouTube. What they had just did was they went out and bought 2 brand new batteries, stuck them in the battery compartment where they were supposed to be safe and isolated from the living compartment. And when they were charging them, it was off-gassing. And so for days, they were exposing themselves to this dangerous gas. This is why it's so highly important that you recognize some of the dangers. Propane smell. Can you smell propane? Some people can't smell propane. And then another story I have was somebody I'd actually met down in Florida. They had a Class C RV, and he goes out camping, you know, once a year or so. Well, he went out camping, and he kept complaining to me that his battery wasn't holding a charge, I said, yeah, you know, if it sits around too long, it's quite possible your battery went dead. Well, he kept messing with it, you know, for several days. He would charge it up with his generator, and within a few hours it was dead. One day, I smelled it. I was in a different camp spot. You know, I was pretty close to him, but I was in a different camp spot and I smelled it. And then I walked closer to his camper, and it was his camper making the smell. And he comes outside of his camper and he says, "What is that smell? It's terrible." And I said, "That is your battery." He says, "Why is it so strong inside the camper?" Well, the battery compartment, the spot that holds the battery, was underneath his living quarters. So all that gas was just coming right up into his camper. So it can happen even in manufactured RV homes. Thanks for watching. Click like if you like the video, and happy travels.